How long do you think the average person could survive in the wilderness? This is sort of in that vein. I just saw this. How long do you think you could survive in the wilderness? You're out hiking, and you get off the beaten path, and nobody's around. How long can you survive?
You have nothing with you?
Nothing with you. No.
Nothing.
No. You have to make your own way. Food, water, shelter.
Toilet.
You have to make your own toilet.
Through lunch.
What would you eat for lunch?
About 2:30, 3 o'clock.
I don't
You mean
think
lunchtime?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'd survive the drop off.
Biggie would stay on the shoulder of the road.
We're going to lower him down from the chopper, and he's wrapped the cord around his neck, Bob.
Maybe 6 hours.
Well, they did a poll. This was Nat Geo. It said, how long do you think you could survive in the wilderness?
Do you think people overestimated their abilities?
When I give you the answer, I think you'll think they've overestimated their abilities.
I mean, even if it was perfect weather, you'd probably still freeze to death at night.
it would be really cold.
Exposure.
If you had to be, they said if we dropped you in the middle of the wilderness, you had no idea where you were, how long can you survive before you call for help or before help arrived? And I think if there was a time of year you wanted to be drop, it would be summer, don't you think? Because
it has to be.
Yes, because any other time you're right, you'd really get cold, even in fall, like
it's
October.
in the forest.
Yeah,
you don't want to be in the desert.
cold at
You
night.
don't want to be in the desert in the summer.
Yeah, because then you've got with Christian skin irritation issues.
Oh yeah,
I'd blister.
There's nothing.
there's not an SPF high enough.
No, he couldn't do that.
I think realistically, I mean, your body would give out. I wouldn't move, though. I'd stay where I was.
Well, you go with what you're familiar with.
I'd be scared of getting
strengths.
lost deeper into the woods.
I have always heard that if you are lost, like if I remember a kid was lost when they found him on like the Appalachian Trail or somewhere, and he was lost in the woods, and they said he did the smart thing. He stayed where he was because people are going to come looking for you, and if you start moving, they may miss you.
Yeah.
They'll go where you were, and then you're not there anymore.
I'd end up dying of thirst or whatever, so I'd say 2 days.
I don't think I could. I bet I could. Yeah, or you drink bad water.
Yeah.
Or you eat something that you shouldn't. I couldn't start a fire.
Well,
No.
I'll tell you what they said about that, Biggie, though, is you do have to look for water, and then once you find water, you stay put, is what they said.
Near the water.
Got to go to a river, something. Got to figure out where that is.
Go to a river, and then you really have to wait until either sunset or a sunrise to kind of
At
find
least get
east
a
or
distance.
west.
Well,
Or direction.
find your direction, and then what else how about food? Do you have to try to forage for berries?
Well, if you find that
That's
river,
risky, isn't it? Aren't there some
how do you
berries
know
that
what
are
to
bad
eat?
for you?
It is. I don't know what you would do to eat.
catch a fish, but you got
That's
to build a fire.
Fish.
Yeah, I couldn't do any of that. That's why I said for me, realistically, 2-3 days.
Look at you, not going to eat raw fish.
Out of a river?
Yeah,
Oh,
you-
now you have standards?
Out
Yeah.
of a lake?
Smash its head with a rock and eat it.
Like you're going to catch a fish barehanded. Oh, I'm not going to eat this thing raw.
All you can do.
What are you, a bear? Going to knock a salmon out of the water with your paw?
I'm going to jump in there and try and catch it like a.
This is off the top. The other day, Biggie said his brother-in-law, who he just visited in Florida, said the way he tests a good seafood restaurant is how long do the crab legs stay hot? If the last crab leg is still hot, do you think that if it's cold, it doesn't work?
No.
Which most of them are cold. He said that one the other day. Failed the test. The last one was cold.
Off the list.
I caught a scene of Castaway, and I wondered if he was thinking the same thing as he was.
His first few nights, he built a fire.
He did.
He was singing The Doors.
That's right.
And he killed some crabs.
Got it.
And he cooked them, and he ate great crab, but it gave him the runs.
It did. But before he could
the
build,
end-
before he could build the fire,
But how long did it take him to get fire?
A
few days.
A while.
It wasn't the first night.
It was a while.
It was a
'cause
few nights.
The first time he caught a crab, goo came out of its
Yeah, he
leg.
broke its leg open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was nothing but goo.
I can only hope that those crab legs gave my brother-in-law the trots.
Diarrhea.
The castaway goo.
I think you're wrong, Dave. I think what he says the coconut milk gave him diarrhea,
That's right.
and so he said coconut's a natural diuretic, and he had crab legs, and he goes, "Oh boy, you got to love crab," because he had cooked the crab leg. The average person in this poll on Nat Geo, person said I could survive 16 days without knowing
way.
anything. Well, you might just live for a while.
That's what I'm worried about. That's what would scare me is I'd be wishing to die
Do you think?
and
Or not
keep
be able to,
living.
yes.
Do you think if you were in any branch of the armed forces that you would have an advantage?
I
Yes.
do think it would help.
Because you probably could handle yourself better.
I think if you did any time in Boy Scouts, you'd have an advantage. Any time.
I agree. And
Just being outdoors,
right, any amount of time.
camping.
Now, a lot of people said what Christine was saying. It has to be during summer because if I'm forced to build a fire, I can't build a fire. Only like 10% of people say I can build a fire, even with nothing, you know.
Well, you do risk, getting sick eating berries because without fire, you can't eat anything else.
That's
you?
right.
I mean, if you're going to kill something, you got to cook it, don't you?
Well,
What?
Dave, what
Well,
have you not heard of beef tartare?
you just said.
We can do deer tartare, rabbit tartare. Ain't no beef out there. Ain't no cow.
Well, it's not going to kill you if you eat it raw. Animals eat it raw all the
It'll
time.
make you sick.
It could make you sick.
Well, I mean, what else are you going to do? Starve?
I mean, you could risk the berries. That's probably the way to go. Or leaves.
Pecans. You know, if he
You throw rocks up at the pecan
What are
tree
you sitting outside Atlanta?
pecans or
in a peach orchard?
peaches or oranges. If you're in Florida, you find oranges or something. I
They're
don't
not
know.
gonna put you in a grove.
I'm not sure. They're dropping you in the wilderness.
These trees are in perfect rows. Where am I?
At a Tropicana field.
Luckily, Dave always has his lighter handy with him, so
Well, you can't take it. Well, what if I gave you? What if I said that you get $5 million if you can find your way out, as opposed to just sitting there like Biggie, like a bump on a log.
Well, I would certainly try it.
I mean, you'd try then, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would.
Say, look, you get out, even if it takes you a week.
Oh, I'd
Get
definitely
$5
try.
million.
Oh God, yeah, I'd go.
Do you
for
follow
it.
the river that you found?
Yeah, I think.
And do you go
would.
upstream or downstream?
I would. I don't know. It's a good question. I'm not
You'd
sure.
follow the river, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you go down?
Yes, but I mean, it takes you to. It would. Doesn't that eventually fall off to a waterfall, and does that lead to
I
somewhere?
suppose it could.
Cheryl, you're talking about surviving the wilderness. People think, average person thinks they could survive 16 days in the wilderness. Go ahead.
Well, and you guys are saying you're going to die immediately, but don't you remember Ewell Gibbons?
He ate a
The Three
tree.
Bucks commercial guy.
Oh, he ate a tree.
Didn't he try to educate you that parts of a pine cone are edible?
Okay.
Yes, this is a reference for people my age.
Ewell
Ewell
Gibbons.
used to do TV commercials for grape nuts.
And he would talk
I
about.
believe he'd say most of a tree is edible.
Yes. God, I
Johnny
barely-
Carson used to make fun of him all the time because he was, kind of an oddball.
Yes.
Ewell Gibbons.
Ewell Gibbons. Pine cones are edible.
That's what was in grape nuts.
Yeah, the box was as tasty.
Yeah.
Only 1 in 7 people think they'd be able to identify which berries were healthy and which were poison. That would be hard
I
to
got
do.
some in my front yard. I don't know what they are.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. Okay. Well, you'd have to Google Ewell Gibbons. Oh, you probably don't have your phone. I bet you don't have
There's no
Yeah, I bet
Wi-Fi
your phone's
out
No,
there.
not
you got no Wi-Fi. That's right. But they said 2/3 said we also wouldn't even know what poison ivy looks like. So you'd get in that, and then you'd really be in a fix.
Stay away from the 3 and the 5 leaf plants.
God, can you imagine being stuck out there and getting a bad case of poison ivy? That would be miserable.
It would be miserable, but that wouldn't kill
Wouldn't
you.
kill you, it'd just be miserable. Exactly. The first thing they do is find water. You have to find water because you can survive without food a lot longer than you can survive.
What if you look
with
at the
water.
water and it's filthy?
I think you still have to drink it. I think it's better than nothing.
I think I may have shared this with you guys years ago, but I heard, I don't know if this was on a Naked and Afraid show, but sometimes they say that still water that looks more rank is better to drink. You scoop from the top because all the sediment goes to the bottom.
Really?
Whereas running water would keep whatever's in it. If there's any.
Well, I wouldn't
pollutants.
think like that.
I
I
wouldn't
think if
either.
it's been running over rocks and
Be much cleaner.
Right, it
be a lot
looks cleaner.
It does look cleaner.
That's fascinating.
but what
right.
if there's algae and all that other, it's,
All the goop
yeah,
on the top that you have to. Yeah.
Scrape it out of the way. That's a great tip. I like that one. When I watched that movie about the guy who lost his arm, what was it called?
Oh, 127 hours?
127 hours. When he eventually does get out, and this is based on a true story, he gets out and he finds water. And he had a water bottle, but it was empty. And so he took a water bottle and filled it, and the water's brown, and he's just gulping it in. And I thought
That's
that's how
desperation.
you would be.
Yeah, it could give you dysentery.
Yeah. And then he ran into some,
And you poo yourself to death.
yeah.
Ugh.
He ran into, he drank his own urine while he was down there.
And he cut off his arm, didn't he?
Cut off his own arm.
That's what a
because-
lot of people who do survival, long-term survival do. They drink pee.
In 127
Usually their
hours.
own.
Yes.
And you get diarrhea, you broke off your arm, you can't wipe yourself.
I think if you and I were stuck together,
Made
Dave,
the boot scoot.
I'd give you my urine, you give me yours. That's how it goes.
Oh, I figured y'all peed in each other's mouths already.
Just for funsies.
We
Mine's-
rescued these two men and
Mine's-
these two radio personalities were safe in the woods. One was legally drunk.
My urine's 40%.
Dave's 60 proof
40
now.
60 proof.
I'd say I was nearly dead, and they'd say, well, you were only in there about 90 minutes.
Kelly stumbles out drunk.
That wasn't that big a deal. Matt, you're talking about water. Chris Tim, I thought, gave a great factoid that the still water might be better than the running water for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, guys. So the issue with running water is usually that we have a lot of beavers in the area and other animals like muskrats that stay in the water.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest issue is Giardia. That's where you're gonna get your
Giardia.
Okay.
and stuff like
All
that.
right.
Yeah, Giardia. That's when you're gonna get dehydrated and have vomiting and diarrhea. But that comes from animal scat. The still water, you're gonna have stuff in there like mosquitoes, but it's usually rainwater and also digging. I know you've seen people in these shows digging beside the water to filter it, and then scooping from the top of that hole that you dug.
Interesting. Really interesting.
This guy could last a week.
You must be a camper.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I've always wanted to do these shows, and I've tried to do Naked and Afraid.
Really?
It's enjoyable to watch and learn. Yeah, it's just always something I wanted to do.
Is there a prize at the end of Naked and Afraid? Like, if you win Survivor, you win $1 million. I don't know. Is there a prize on Naked and Afraid? They do it every week.
I have no idea, but if you haven't watched Alone, that's got to be the best one. Basically, have you ever heard that on History
Alone?
Channel?
I don't think so, no.
It's basically you're supposed to last the longest to drop 10 people in an area. The person that lasts the longest used to win, but they had so many people going over 100 days that basically if you last 100 days, you get $1 million now.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's amazing. Thank you, Matt. That's interesting stuff. Really
Hey, good luck
appreciate
with your audition.
I'll tell you why I would say I couldn't go on Naked and Afraid because of my penis.
You won't
You're
be
afraid
naked.
of being naked.
I don't want anybody to see it. Yeah. God, no.
Well, they blur it out, but
Yeah.
the crew sees it.
But
Yeah,
still,
but there's the crew knows.
I don't want the crew to know.
And you get a laughing bear or possum. Look at that.
No way.
Getting ready to kill you in your
Well,
sleep.
normally it's a man and a woman too. So
Oh my
a
God.
naked woman shows up, you'd be like, "Boop."
Oh,
What's wrong with your fig leaf, bro?
Yeah.
that starts a dim report.
Well, we've got a couple of alcohol-related stories. First, one of the more unusual carjacking attempts in recent Florida memory. Here's what we know. Monday evening, 5:30ish, 74-year-old man was in the driver's seat of his convertible Aston Martin.
Very
Where
nice.
James Bond drives
Nice.
in all of his pictures.
Yep.
Sweet ride. The man was putting the top back up on his vehicle, presumably so he could have dinner, drinks, maybe, somewhere. At the same time, however, witnesses say a 30-year-old man, Gavin Pierce, grabbed 2 wine glasses from an unoccupied outdoor table at Salute restaurant, broke the glasses on the ground, and then took the business end and stabbed the dude in the Aston Martin. With the broken wine glasses. Well, you might laugh.
Well, he,
Well, when you get stabbed in the Aston Martin.
He heard you say Aston Martin. He giggled at that. That's Dave for you.
The car owner, the Aston owner, tossed his key fob out of the vehicle so that Pierce wouldn't be able to drive it away. Actually kind of cool under pressure. Meanwhile, a server from Salute jumped on Pierce while another bystander threw his bicycle at the suspect. Pierce, the crazy guy with the wine glasses, fled the scene on a different bicycle with the broken wine glasses still in his hand.
Ouch.
Cops found him a short time later. The victim had cuts to his arm and head. Drove himself to the hospital in Sarasota. They eventually did catch the assailant.
Well, good. My goodness.
Crazy stuff, man.
That may be how Chris Dim goes in a wine bottle.
A wine and cheese
glass.
incident.
Wine glass.
Yeah,
accident.
I've fallen a
Without a doubt.
corkscrew.
Yeah, he could fall on something, catch his jugular.
Yes.
That's right.
Corkscrew in the jugular.
Yeah, on a knife, on a cheese shaving implement.
Yes.
Oh,
One of those really round-shaped edges.
yeah, a rasp.
Yeah.
So dull. It lasts for a while. It's so bad.
It's
What a
bled out.
terrible way to go.
Look, he cut himself with a cheese thing. How's that even
I
possible?
know, it's horrible.
What's on the brie? It's blood.
Oh. Is that raspberry?
Is that a compote?
No.
No. It's his blood. He wanted it that way. Oh, terrible.
And finally, we haven't had some good news about the German army in a while, but here's some. Now, you may have heard about this, kind of an international story, but the German army, like a lot of troops, is going to be withdrawn from Afghanistan. And what you may not know about the German army is that each German soldier is entitled to 2 cans of beer per day.
Oh, really?
Per day.
That's your kind of military there, Dave.
Yeah, I could go for that.
Mm-hmm. Just
Well,
slow them down a bit.
See, the thing is now they had to import it all into Afghanistan because you can't sell it in Afghanistan, and they can't sell it back. So right now they have 60,000 cans of beer in Afghanistan.
You're not supposed to drink it.
No.
You can't sell it to the locals, and you can't pour it out because of environmental reasons. So a German contractor, civilian, has stepped up and said, I'll get these out of here, and then we'll presumably be able to sell it somewhere. And that will cover the cost of transporting the beer out of the country.
Well,
Get it out of the heat.
That is good. You got to get it out of the heat.
Yeah.
It go bad.
Where do you drink it? Do you drink it like on their base there? I mean, you can't go
would
flaunt
imagine
it around.
You can't really go into town.
No.
Not when you're in country like that.
You know, I was thinking of that movie, 127 Hours. When he got out, this guy was trapped. His arm was caught between two boulders, like down in a cave. And it's a true story. And he had to wind up drinking his own urine because he was in there 127 hours. He cut off his own arm with a little, like a
Tiny knife.
tiny pocket knife type thing. And then he finally gets out, and he goes for hours and sees two tourists, finally, like hikers in this area where he was in the Rocky Mountains. And he said, do you have water, please? And they gave him a couple of bottles of water. If that had been my wife, she just said, I don't think so. No, we're not going
We
to.
don't share.
We need
We're
this
not gonna
water
reach
Well,
later.
that's our water. And